Biden appears set to run in 2024, but many Democratic voters have doubts. Let's dive into the details, shall we? As President Biden prepares for an expected re-election bid, Democratic leaders are increasingly enthusiastic about his candidacy. Many of his party's voters aren't on board. Concerns about Mr. Biden's age and abilities are front of mind for some Democrats, even those who think the 80-year-old president has done well during his first 2 years in office, according to recent polling in Wall Street Journal interviews with more than 24 people around the country who voted for Mr. Biden in 2020. I think he's too old, said Kelly Spencer, 35, of Flotania, Texas, a Democrat who voted for Mr. Biden in 2020. And maybe that's a little ageist on my part, but I think he's too old. I worry about cognitive decline. I worry about a stroke, anything like that. Mr. Biden's standing among Democratic officials has strengthened, with many citing the legislative wins of his first 2 years and better than expected midterm election results. During last week's meeting of the Democratic National Committee, members approved a resolution expressing its full and complete support of the president's re-election. He isn't expected to face a major primary challenge. Still, a recent poll from Associated Press, Newark Center for Public Affairs, showed that 62% of Democrats didn't want Mr. Biden to seek a second term, while 37% did. A Washington Post ABC poll showed that 58% of Democrats and Democratic-leaning independents would prefer to nominate someone other than Mr. Biden, while 31% favored nominating Mr. Biden. Andrew Dickerman, 72, a Democrat and retired video engineer from Pacific Palisades, California, credited Mr. Biden for ushering in a return to something somewhat normal, but called the president's age a hurdle for many voters. It's interesting the different contrast of different people. Like this guy's a 72-year-old Democrat, something somewhat normal. I don't think that's true. It's still crazy. There's still all these riots. There's still a lot of division in the country, and inflation's insane. The layoffs are going crazy, but all right, somewhat normal. Okay. Let's continue. He's got some effects of aging, which is obvious, but it is a problem for some people. It's not a plus, but who is going to replace him? Mr. Dickerman said. I mean, anybody? I'm anxious that he can hold up through a campaign that he can do it. Interesting. In a hypothetical matchup of Mr. Biden and former President Donald Trump, 48% of overall voters in the Washington Post ABC poll favored Mr. Trump, while 45% preferred Mr. Biden. The difference was within the poll's margin of error. Julian Castro, another 2020 primary candidate who served as a cabinet secretary in the Obama administration, tweeted the poll results, saying the survey undermines Biden's central argument for renomination. I couldn't agree more with that. Faced with a matchup between Mr. Trump and Mr. Biden, Democrats clearly support Mr. Biden. Roughly 9 out of 10 Democrats said they would back Mr. Biden. That makes sense. A similar number of Republicans said they would support Mr. Trump. Among independents, 50% preferred Mr. Trump and 41% preferred Mr. Biden. Also makes sense to me. John Azalone, who served as the lead pollster for Mr. Biden's 2020 campaign and conducts polling for the Journal, said some past presidents have contended with questions about their support at this point in their first term. He also argued that a key question was Mr. Biden's support among Democrats when facing an opponent. That shows you the true support and enthusiasm, he said. Mr. Biden, in an interview this week with Telemundo, questioned the accuracy of polling and said he felt good about the reception I get, he added. It may be that I run and I get clobbered, probably, and if I run, I win. That's not my motive. That's not the basis upon which I make the judgment. It's interesting that it's not based on if he's going to win. That doesn't factor into his judgment. Oh, I don't care if I'm going to win. If I can't win, I'll run anyways. Who cares? I don't care. Interesting. White House spokesman Andrew Bates said Mr. Biden's experience is helping him succeed as president, and that the American people support his agenda for the middle class and his standing for mainstream values over dangerous conspiracy theories. Right. Mr. Biden sought to keep the focus on his record. He previewed his campaign message in this week's State of the Union address, stressing the economic gains over the past 2 years and his efforts to invest in jobs and infrastructure. Well, your jobs and infrastructure, these bills that they passed were nonsense. They just went to a bunch of fluff, and they didn't even go to infrastructure for the most part. And the economy, gains in the economy. Like, how do they even try to lie about this? The economy is horrific. The inflation's at, I want to say an all-time high, record high in recent modern history. And the economy overall is at least the worst it's been in a decade. It's awful. Layoffs like crazy. It's all contracting. People's savings are just going out of control. Credit card debt skyrocketing. What is it? 80% of people across all political spectrums say, I think it's 60, 70% say they're worse off than last year. The highest it's been since the 2008 crisis. Come on. No, the economy's trash. I don't know why they try to lie about it. Many Democratic lawmakers were pleased with the speech, during which he jousted his House Republicans in the audience. Asked in a recent interview with PBS if he thought his age was an issue, Mr. Biden said, "Watch me." He said he was a great respecter of fate and would be honest with the American people if he thought his health might prevent him from doing the job as president. Yeah, right. He lies about the economy. He lies about everything. He lies about his deals that he did with China. Yeah, right. But yeah, if you thought your health was in decline, you would tell everybody. I highly doubt it. Mr. Biden will complete his physical examination on February 16th, and the White House has promised to publicly disclose the results. Details of his previous physical were released in November 2021, and Mr. Biden's doctor said he was fit to serve. All right. It said the president's gait, he noticeably stiffened, and that his coughing and throat clearing was largely due to gastroesophageal reflex. Republicans have repeatedly cited Mr. Biden's age in questioning his abilities. At 40, I'm the youngest governor in the country, and at 80, he's the oldest president in American history. Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who served as Mr. Trump's press secretary, said during the GOP response to the State of the Union. Mr. Trump, who has announced he will seek the Republican nomination in 2024, is 76, but some other Republicans considering bids, including Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, are decades younger. That potential generational contrast is a worry for some Democrats. I shouldn't, but I really struggle with his age. Why shouldn't you? I don't know. Sometimes he seems out of touch, and I worry about his health, said Carrie D. Dio, 54, a Democrat from Kingman, Arizona. Okay, I could see if it was just about his age, but it's not. He's not like, okay, he's 80 and spry and doesn't even seem 80. If he seemed like he's 60, but he's 80, okay, whatever. But he does not seem like he's spry. He seems like he's really declining at a pretty quick rate. Susan Rush, 72, of Waukesha, Wisconsin, said she didn't think the president was getting enough credit for his work on the economy and other issues. How do you think the economy is good? And what other issues? Come on, Susan, let's be honest. But on a potential re-election bid, she said, I'm up in the air about it. The only thing that makes me unsure is his age. I do think it probably should be a younger person, but if he was a candidate, I'd definitely vote for him. Others were comfortable with another bid. To me, he's the person who can relate on any level with anyone. I think it just comes natural for him, said Cynthia Johnson, 67, a retired teacher from Laurinburg, North Carolina, who wants Mr. Biden to seek re-election. Another factor in Mr. Biden's decision is the party's views of Vice President Kamala Harris, whose approval ratings tend to be slightly lower than Mr. Biden's. Renee Rogers, 46, a registered nurse from Yuma, Arizona, said she has always had a soft spot for Mr. Biden because he served as vice president to former President Barack Obama. She said she was less certain about Ms. Harris's role. I'm just waiting for her to show me something. She is just so in the background, Miss Rogers said. James Brown, 73, of Saludo, South Carolina, said he would like Mr. Biden to retire and for Miss Harris to run. I think she can win over anybody, he said. Very interesting contrast, like what people say. I don't know, it's just one people's opinion this is just my opinion. But I never see anyone that likes Kamala Harris. Democrats, Republicans, nobody likes her. I see foreign people, nobody likes her. But James Brown from Saludo, South Carolina, thinks she can win over anybody. I haven't seen her win over anyone. But, let's continue. Democratic pollster Jeff Horwitz said that age aside, Mr. Biden could focus on convincing voters he has the experience and ability to handle a crisis to stay in the job. Yeah, like the Chinese spy balloon. Did a great job there, Joe. He tried to keep it a secret. He didn't want anyone to know about it because he's worried about political ramifications. There's nothing he can do to change his age, and every day he gets a day older, he said. What really does matter are these other qualities where he has taken a hit. I mean, I understand everyone has a different opinion and everything, disagree politically, but I don't understand how people say the economy's good. The economy's good. He's been doing great on these other issues. It's just so interesting to me. Everything really is so divided in the country now. Under Barack Obama, you had some Democrats calling out Obama about war and the economy, but now it's like under Biden, it's like you can't even talk about it and be honest about it. The economy is not good, and normal Americans all know that. Every other article I see, no one agrees with this, but then you get likely Biden voters and they think the economy's great. How fascinating is that? But, that's just my opinion. But what is your opinion? Do you think the economy is good? Do you think it's bad? Do you want Biden to win or to run? Do you think it should be another Democrat? Do you think it should be a different Republican? Please let me know your opinions in the comments below. I love to read them all. Also, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel for daily news updates, hit that notification bell, and share this video to help spread the news. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.